Hi guys, my name is Nana from Tutelage Tutoring. Welcome back to part 2 of our factoring polynomial series. If you would like to learn the basics of how to do so, go back and watch part 1. In this part, we're going to kick up the difficulty a little bit by showing a more complex problem from the first part we did. And this is the problem, and I'm going to show you how to do it. The question that we're dealing with is 2x squared plus 6x plus 4. So the biggest difference in this question in comparison to the ones we were doing in part 1 is that now we have a leading coefficient that is not a 1, which in this case is a 2. So the first step is we take the 2 and then the 4 and we multiply them together. So 2 times 4 gives us 8, right? Now we take the 8 up here in the corner, and then we find numbers that will once again multiply to give us 8 while add together to give us the center digit, right? And what gives us that? Well, we have 4 and 2. 4 times 2 gives us 8, but it'll also add together to give us 6, right? So that's what we use. And now we use the method called factor by grouping. Factor by grouping, the reason we have to use that is because our leading coefficient is not a 1, right? And how it works is we break up our middle digit into its two components, which in this case are 4 and 2, right? Because we established that they will add together to give us 6. So what I do is I'll just rewrite it. So now we have 2x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 4, right? And by grouping, what I mean is we just group this big polynomial, meaning that I group this together here and then this together here. And then I factor. So I can see in the first part I can pull out a 2 and then x because both the numbers have that in common. Then draw my parentheses and then x plus 2. And the cool part about factor by grouping is that this number here in the parentheses, that will be the same on this side. And if it's not, that means we've done something wrong. So we can see that it works because all I need out here is another 2. Because 2 times x gives us 2x, and then 2 times 2 gives us 4. Then to write our final answer, once again, grouping. So we group our outside numbers together. So we get 2x plus 2, because the 2 here is a positive. And then x plus 2. So that just means our final answer is 2x squared plus 6x plus 4 is equal to 2x plus 2 times x plus 2, right? And we don't write, because we just remember that this x plus 2 and this x plus 2, we just write it once. It's not written twice, okay? So just to go back and go through one more time, this was our initial question. 2x squared plus 6x plus 4. To start off, we noticed that our leading coefficient was not a 1. It was another number. So we took that numbers, took the 2 and the 4 from this end and multiplied them together to give us 8. Then we took 8 up here and we did what we did in the first part, which is we found numbers that will multiply to give us the 8 and add to give us our center digit, which in this case was a 6, and we established that it was 4 and 2. To finish the question so we can end up with our factors, I took the 4 and 2 and placed them here in the center. And by doing so, I didn't change the value of the question. I just broke the 6 down into its two components, which we established were 4 and 2, right? So then I had 2x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 4. And then I did what's called factor by grouping. So I grouped these first two numbers together. So it's always, you're only gonna ever have 4 numbers, so you always just group the first 2 and then the second 2, right? And then I factored them. And like I said, one thing to remember is whatever you end up with on this side inside the parentheses, that is what you'll end up with on this side as well. So you can just rewrite it. And if it doesn't work out, that means you've done something wrong. So go back and check, okay? And the other thing to keep in mind is when you write the numbers here in the center, sometimes the order might matter depending on how easy it is to factor, correct? So I could have put the 2 here and then the 4 here. It just, you can choose, but sometimes that might matter. And you'll see a question like that in the factor sheet that we're working on. And then we just write our final answer. So that is all for this question. I hope that kind of explains how to do something like this called factor by grouping. And the only time you're going to have to use factor by grouping is when you have a leading coefficient that is not a 1. We'll do another question similar to this in our third part, and also learn another easy way to kind of do a question like this, but I wanted to go ahead and introduce factor by grouping because we will be using it in our final part. So I will catch you guys on the third part of this series. Please go back and watch the first part if you haven't already done so. It'll clarify a couple things. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.